is just take a little face comb and then just start breaking up the dome of the head, looking for all of those little tiny small knots that might be in and around her cheeks and the back of her ears. I usually am going to wait to do the eyes until she's in the tub. Alright, now for the initial breakdown of the coat, I'm going to take a heavy poodle finishing comb, greyhound comb, and I'm going to take this continuous spray by Hydra to get things started. I said that she would be in perfect condition because her mom is an excellent cat grooming student. But I'm just going to take you through the motions. This tool is something you will find in every grooming salon, and it's a very cat specific tool. It's a dog grooming specific tool as well, but the dog groomers use this for different reasons than the cat groomer. The poodle combs are usually used for finishing and scissoring, fluffing out the coat. This is a bigger, longer tooth one. For cat groomers, they're using it for, like, for instance, for me, I'm just using the heavier one to break down the coat, and then I'll probably switch to a much lighter one after the bath, and that one I use by Paw Paw. You can find different quality poodle combs with different grades, different teeth. It's a matter of preference. What do you like, what you don't like. When you're a groomer, you're working with things on a daily basis, and you're going to look for what is comfortable for you. But I would recommend just taking a look around and seeing where you're comfortable with the price point, and then just get a hold of one of these kind of combs. The heavier ones are going to be more ideal since the pins won't bend out of place, especially if you're working a lot with a cat who has lots of mats all the time. So ideally, if you can get your cat mat free and start doing regular maintenance comb outs on your cat, that would probably be ideal. Let's get her tail out, and then I'm just going to break down her tail. Make sure that's completely separated out before I get her coat wet. So this comb is my litmus test to make sure that her coat is ready to get wet. There's different teachings depending on where you are. If you are not a groomer, the teachings would probably be a little different. If you're a cat mom and dad, the steps are probably going to be different. Is all I can say, because there's a lot of cat groomers who can bypass small mats and go straight into the bath, and they deal with that after the bath while the cat is under the dryer. I would not recommend that if you are a cat mom and dad. I'm not sure if you would know what to do afterwards, especially if you don't have a variable speed dryer to help blow that matting out. So I would focus on making sure you have a comb. Here's a utility comb, $10 by JW. Really wide, coarse teeth that are going to ensure that that comb gets through her entire coat. And that way you're not bringing your cat into the tub with any kind of mats. So she's actually in perfect condition. Good job, mommy. All right, we're just gonna basically we're just going through the motions of what to do, but she's actually in excellent condition. All right, there we go. All right, let's work on her sanitary clip area. I'll just lift that tail up a little bit. You can do this way or from the side, whichever one your cat is more comfortable with. And you're just going to work from the bullseye out. Do not run your clipper over the bullseye. If you do, you could create a small injury on your cat. Nothing major, but more uncomfortable. All right, that's done. So that took about less than a minute, right? So every long-haired cat owner should have one of these. Very quiet. It's about $38 now. It's starting to go up in price. It's starting to get more popular, I think. They do have lots of prototypes of it. This is their latest one that I recommend. Right, so part of the sanitary clip on a long hair cat is to just scoop out all of that. So I'm going to do this from the side. Just kind of leaning on her side a little bit, which gives me full access to this area. Not a whole lot of, if any, resistance. If you have a cat who is resistant to this, I would recommend learning any lap grooming techniques. Lots of cat grooming educators throughout social media. And I don't mean dog groomers who have no training in cat grooming. I mean actual trained cat grooming educators. Those are the ones that are going to show you all kinds of tips and tricks. If you don't know who they are here on TikTok, they are Melissa Hall. I always forget her, Whitney, the Charleston cat groomer. And then you have, of course, the mega TikTok cat groomer called Ask a Cat Groomer is her handle. And she is by far one of the best educators for showing how to do lap grooming techniques. She shows it quite a lot in her video posts on TikTok. And her name is Lynn Perillo, one of the top cat grooming certifiers, instructors, educators for the National Cat Groomers Institute. And she is now putting together a program to help cat moms and dads. So if you don't know about that, you should go to her website, askacatgroomer.com. She's putting together some kind of a course, I think, to help cat moms and dads learn how to groom their cat. So I would sign up for that. I should sign up for that and put my own name down on that. And she's going to break it down for beginners as well. She's used to teaching groomers with experience, basically dog groomers wanting to learn or get into cat grooming. But now she's going to learn to break it down for cat moms and dads as well. So that's really, really exciting news for those of you who don't know. Now, if you have a cat who's getting a little anxious and you're not sure how you're supposed to continue with that cat's grooming, I want you to look for layers, things that you can layer into your cat's grooming so that you're not grooming your cat cold, is what I call it. So let's start with the little space heater that's going to warm up the area. Her toe beans are nice and comfortable, room temperature. She's not touching any kind of a cold surface. I'm in a pocket area where she can't get to. I'm not out in the open anywhere. I do have another grooming table in the middle of my salon, which has a tile top, and it's in the middle of the salon with nothing around it, which So you could take the same cat and put them on this table and that table, and they're going to have two separate experiences. Here, they're warm and they're pocketed in. On that table, the tile top is cold and they're in the middle of the salon, and they're more vulnerable and wanting to leave. So it's two separate experiences altogether. You could try the number one cat grooming hack, which is the Happy Hoodie. This Happy Hoodie is $10 online, and you just pretty much slip it over your cat's head like a sock. This is going to help a lot of cats, maybe not all of them, but you can bring your cat's grooming a little bit further along than you could before with this Happy Hoodie. You just want to slip it over their head like that. And that's usually going to give your cat instant calmness. There's compression happening around the head. Um, Sometimes with the Happy Hoodie, it will start to stretch out and you lose that compression. Well, for cat grooming, that means it's gone useless because you need that compression. So if you have some Happy Hoodies that are starting to stretch out, you may want to look into tightening them back up again. And there's various different ways you can do that. And she's just gone into a complete cat zone with that on. You can also utilize that for the bathing time. It's designed for grooming in the grooming industry to protect the sound of the dryer. But when you put it on a cat's head, now all of her add-ons I do at the end of her grooming. So take that off. I do all of her frosting at the very end. So we can pretty much just take her straight into the tub. I'm going to try and do a double live. So let me figure this out. All right, love. Keep track of which phone goes where. That one goes there, and that one goes there, I think. All right, whoops, there. All right, I think everyone can see. All right, so the first thing we do is we get started with a degreasing treatment. Groomer Scoop sells their degreasing treatment by the 16-ounce bottle or by the gallon or by the tub. And they have two separate formulas. One is the liquid cream and one is the tub. It's like a thick Crisco paste. I prefer to use the liquid cream. I feel it works better to distribute through the long hair cuts. And then I heat mine as well, so that it's going on nice and warm. And then what I'm looking for is where all the heavy oil deposits are. The top of the head of your cat is a huge oil deposit. You may not realize that, but if you have a white cat, it should be apparent to you. You're going to see a bunch of yellowing. That yellow is the oil. And then usually with Lily, I'm just going to follow that oil line straight down her spine. Just separate that out. And she does get the perfect paws. So I'm going to do this on all of her paws. And we're doing it 360, meaning front and back. I'm just a Bobby. I'm just a baby. Yes, you are. Where's your other paw? There. I'm just a baby. Alright, so we've lost sight of her with the other camera. Sorry. Anyway, this is a 7 to 10 minute treatment depending on how bad the oil is. So what you can do is after you've treated your cut, you give yourself things to do while you're waiting for the process. And that could be either nail clipping, ear cleaning, and in Lily's case, we're going to clean her eyes. So let's just make sure we treat all of her paws. One of the things that Groomer Scoop will do as well is help with the yellowing of the coat. So some people aren't aware. It'll tell you right on the bottle that it helps with the yellowing as well. And then if you have a long hair cat, you want to look at the base of that tail. You want to just separate out that fur, look on that base. I can see the yellow. She doesn't have any discoloration or heavy buildup, any obvious signs, but sometimes it can get really bad and it's really dark, crud buildup, and you'll see like what looks like a wet spot. That's a pretty bad case of stud tail. So using this will get it out. You want to leave it in for at least 10 minutes and then you just rinse it out, and then you want to wash twice and you should be able to have a nice fluffy tail again. So, all right, let's see. She's like, I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. All right, so while that's working, we'll get started on her eyes. Rinse off my hands. She gets braver and braver with every one of her groomings. Shy little thing. Okay. I'm going to pull out my foaming shampoo. All that's in that is this product here. It's a foaming crystal clean rinseless shampoo by Focus on Feline. That product I use for all kinds of things. If you have really, really bad ears, it's really going to break down all of that heavy buildup in the ears. If you have a dirty bottom and you don't want to wash your whole cat, it's perfect. Just get a nice warm washcloth and then put a little bit of that in a foaming dispenser, and that is going to help you tremendously. It does have a light fragrance, but it's absolutely beautiful. Alright, so we're just gonna clean that down. Other side. Good girl. And then while you're there, you want to check the nostrils. Usually there's going to be a little bit of crud, especially if you have a white cat. There we go. And then once I'm done that, I'm just going to give that area a nice flush with the saline. She's like, oh my goodness. Okay, that's done. We're still waiting on that groomer scoop to go into full effect, and while we're waiting, we could then go and do her nails, which we've already done, or we could go in and start cleaning the outer ear. I usually make sure there's no debris or oil on the outside of the ear. That way I don't have to worry about that getting all over a freshly cleaned cat after the bath and the dry. I'll go back in and do a deeper dive down inside the ear, but this is a really great product to just get rid of all of that for now. Right. So again, the Groomer Scoop sold on Chewy's 16-ounce bottles and 1 gallon sizes. I specifically buy my Groomer Scoop from Groomer Smart because they carry the gallons, which are harder to find. Cherrybook.com does sell it, which is a wholesale store for the pet industry from New Jersey. Alright, make sure we get that water nice and warm. I'm going to start on her paws. And get rid of that. Ah, excuse me. Alright. Alright, when it comes to cat grooming, I do like to work with heated shampoos. Sometimes I froth them. I like to work with bottles of heated rinse water because when I'm washing the head of the cat, a lot of cats don't appreciate that sprayer all around their head. There is a way to bypass that by, I'll show you. By making preheated rinse bottles. That's just bottles I get from Sally's, and I make sure there's nice warm water in there. Now, you can preheat all of your shampoos and then put it in a cooler and close it, and that will also keep things warm for you. So I was using a Sharper Image towel warmer, and that finally just kicked off. It's $100 for that, so I guess it has a shelf life. I didn't buy it brand new, so I don't know if it was me or if it was going to go anyway, but you can have nice warm shampoos for your cat. Preheat everything, put it in a cooler so that it will also keep everything nice and warm for you. And that is another way to keep things nice and warm. You could also have a preheated towel that you can put in a cooler. So, now, if you have a cat who may be getting triggered from the sound of the sprayer, you just take a happy hoodie, put it over their head before you turn that on. And then one way you can keep that happy hoodie dry is put a little cone around their head. And that'll help to keep that dry. And right now she's getting a beauty treatment on her head with the Groomer Scoop. So, right, here we go. And just rinse out the Groomer Scoop in her paws. Good girl. Being so brave. So brave. Alright. She gets a purple shampoo beauty treatment. And we're going to use a Chubb's bar. This is the go-to product that I use for all of the paws of my cat clients. I was using this before I became a cat groomer. And I was wanting all of my dog grooming clients to have perfect paws. So, and if you like the smell of lemongrass, the Anna line makes a degreasing shampoo bar. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's absolutely divine. Alright, I'm doing a double chubs on the paws, always. Now, one of the things you can do to help keep your cat comfortable is give them about an inch of water. Hey, hey. I'm going to take that all off so she can hold her head up. And get her out of that cat zone. When you put a happy hoodie on, cats can go into a bit of a cat zone. So double chubs. This is just a little curry silicone. Pretty girl. Now I don't have a riser in my tub. I took it out on purpose to make working with cats about 50% easier. Now we do not have cats who are gripping onto anything, using their claws to push against anything, especially the bigger cats. So if she were a really big cat trying to get out of the tub right now, they would have nothing to hold on to, and it would feel like I'm just pushing a butterfly instead of a small goat. Some of my cat clients are like a small goat. They're just very stubborn, very ridiculous. And one of the things that happens when the cat can no longer push their way out is they stop trying and they just lay down. So that works out really well for me. All right. Wow. Make sure we're not staining her coat. Good girl. You're so good. Yes, you are. She's like, really? I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. There. Good girl. Alright, let's rinse out all of that groomer's goop. She's like, do you really have to do that? I'm like, yeah. She's like, geez Louise. Look on her face. She's like, I don't think I'm going back here again. I don't know. I didn't even get my catnip yet. Alright. She's so small. And cute. Small and cute. Little petite Persian princess. Just get all that groomer's goop out. So as you noticed, or didn't notice, I was allowing all of that to continue to work while I was working on the front of the cat. When you watch a cat groomer working, they're usually doing about 2 to 3 things all at the same time. Multitasking, trying to get the cat done as quickly as possible. And in my case, as quickly as possible, but at low stress level. But for the class, I do tend to run long, just because I'm wanting to share as much as I can as I take you step by step through the process. So we'll just take a little bit of this heated rinse water so we don't douse her head and make her feel uncomfortable. And then I have a little dry towel on standby just to keep that area uh, nice and dry for her. Yep. All right, here we go. And here. So today I'm going to try a new product that I found for degreasing. We'll see how it goes. This one is by Groom and it's the Squeaky Clean shampoo. It's supposed to be very effective for degreasing. We'll see how that goes. And I have a little bit of it also diluted in this bottle. So it says that it can be diluted up to 1 part shampoo to 16 parts water, which is how most pet products come. You usually have to dilute them all down. And then what I did was I just diluted it with some warm water and gave it a bit of a froth. And see how well this lathers up her coat. I'm just a baby. Yes, I am. I'm just a baby. I diluted this to 1 part shampoo to 4 parts water. It says you can go up to 16 parts water, so. It's just a baby. Alright. I mean, it feels nice. I guess I won't really know how effective it is until after I rinse it off to see if it has a bit of a squeak on that coat, which is ideal. That means the degreasing has taken place. It's just a baby. It's just a baby. I'm using that little paws brush that you're not really sure what to do with. That's in the pet aisle for cats. Well, this is one of the things I use it for. Alright, let's rinse and see what happens. She's like, geez Louise. Wow. Let me see. Let me feel it. Your fingers will tell you. fine. I mean, it works. Seems to be working just fine. Let's get that all through her coat. Get that started. Add a little bit more of that. And start doing that lather. And this is just the first shampoo anyway, so. Wah, 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 wah. She's like, no, not the butt area. I really don't care for the fragrance, but sometimes the fragrance is one way, and then when it dries, it's another way. But don't really care for it. If I have to work with it on a daily basis, I would not be using this shampoo. But let's just see if it is a really great alternative to cat moms and dads looking for that degreasing shampoo, which is very elusive and very hard to find. I know Pink Paw Pal just pulled that degreasing shampoo from their line, and they have come up with their own Groomer Scoop solution, which is twice as expensive. So of course, I'm quite happy with my gallon of Groomer Scoop. It's the same, pretty much the same exact product. Not completely, but very close, and has almost the same exact smell. But yeah, they actually pulled the degreasing shampoo from their line. I don't understand why. Maybe because all of their clientele, they're washing their cats once a week, and they don't even give the cat a chance to build up any oil, so I'm not really sure. But for the average cat mom and dad, they need that degreasing shampoo. So trying to find it and find something you want to work with is a little elusive. So they have the Petway from Australia. Do not like that fragrance, would not want to work with that on a daily basis, but it may not be so bad for you, the cat mom and dad. You know what I mean? So right now I'm sticking with my F&T. There is one other product on the market by Anna, which is a degreasing shampoo with a lemongrass fragrance. So I usually like to combine this with my F&T. I'll make a bucket of F&T froth and warm, and then add this to it for a long hair cat. That I love to work with. Alright, let's just peel that coat, see what happens. I think I'm feeling a squeak. Or maybe that's just because the Groomer Scoop was right there. Alright. She's like, I think the babies. No, I feel it. I can feel the squeak. So, there you have it. Squeaky Clean Shampoo by iGroom. You can find that on Amazon. Pretty easy to find. Now, there's nothing stopping you from being able to make your own heated frothed shampoo with any shampoo that you use. You don't have to use it straight out of the bottle. So maybe next week I'll try a heated froth shampoo with that lemongrass by Anna. So currently my favorite degreasing is Anna Lemongrass Healthy Coat with some F&T by Le Pooch. That is just divine. All right, get that tail done. Girl. I'm just having an argument with my YouTube telephone, recording this class the entire time. Oh my god. Because I only have one wall mount for the tub. Let's get that started. Yeah. Alright, pretty girl. Alright, so the first shampoo is done. Degreasing, check. Degreasing treatment, check. Finishing shampoo. Well, this one is a new one for a lot of you. So what we have is Baby Ovino with the blue top. One of the most luxurious finishing shampoos for cats, and a show secret for one champion Persian show cat handler. That was his favorite finishing shampoo that won him all of his awards. It's extremely luxurious. I think I may have shared that with you in the last week's class. And then we are going to add a little bit of that ginseng violet to her coat. There we go. Probably more effective if you put your cat in a basin to utilize all of that shampoo, so it's not all going down the drain, but there's plenty on her coat right now. She's like, I'm just a purple baby. I'm just a purple baby. Just a purple baby. Alright. There we go. Wow. Good girl. Wow. And on her tail. There we go. Come here, love. Right this way. You got something in your nose? What do you got in your nose? There we go. What you got in your nose? Here it is. Wow, wow, wow. Good girl. Now there's two little holes right behind those ears. If you don't clean those out, they are going to collect all of the heavy oil. So you want to go in and just pay attention to those areas. Otherwise your head on your cat, if you are washing your cat, is going to not be thoroughly washed. Let's get her basin ready. Right this way. Wow, wow. Now this basin has a hole built into it. It didn't come that way, I just made it. And then I just used a little cork. But right around this time of year, they do sell party buckets so that you can, for about 20 bucks, get your own cat bathtub. They also sell lots of collapsible, portable, bathing type tubs that you can use. So if you're utilizing your bathtub at home, I would highly encourage you to get a smaller area to put your cat in the tub, and that's going to make them feel a little bit safer. Now, if they don't like to be submerged in water, you can still utilize the basin and just put them inside of it and allow the drain to work out, out the bottom. So that way they feel safe inside the box, and then put that inside the tub. And that could help your cat not feel so lost in a tub area. Alright, so her coat feels absolutely divine. Let's give her a proper rinse. I'm going to go as close to her face as I possibly can with this sprayer. And then I'm going to switch out to a heated rinse bottle. I'm going to have this on standby, as well as some saline. We're going to make sure we rinse out those eyes properly. She said, just a baby. I'm just a baby. Here we go. This will get to all of those areas without dousing your cat's head with a lot of water. And then you can kind of pinpoint where that water's going. And if you push harder, you'll get more of a jet stream of water to rinse hard to rinse areas. So I had this bottle, and I just kept it in a cooler, and it kept it nice and warm. So it's nice and warm going on. I utilized that before I started the bath, made sure that everything was prepped and ready for her bath. Just feeling with my finger, make sure I'm getting that clean squeak on her coat. Just a baby, just a baby. I have some ear flush for after her bath. So we'll put that in after the towel wrap, or while she's in the towel wrap. If you're worried about water getting in your cat's ears, we try not to. I mean, there is one way you can do it, like that. Just cup the hands over the ears and try and put the head up and try and do it that way. Get that really good rinse without getting that water in the ear. That's one way, but alright, here we go. I'm out. I'm out. Just a baby. Oh my goodness. take too long to drain out. So let me just do that. And then back in. That's just to speed things up a little bit. Alright, so at this point, a couple things you can do. One is think that your sprayer at your home is going to properly rinse your cat, which it's not, if it's a long hair cat. Two, you can put your cat in a basin and do a vinegar float rinse. Or three, you can use the pink paw paw neutralizing finishing in the basin to neutralize the coat afterwards and properly rinse that coat out. And excuse me. If your cat does not like to be submerged in water, then you just get some kind of a pitcher, preferably plastic, and make that rinse water yourself and just pour it over the coat instead. And then you can still utilize the cat in the basin, but just make sure it's consistently draining. And that will bypass a cat who gets upset by getting submerged in water. So if the cat does this, you do this. If the cat goes this, you do this. So it's always about navigating around what your cat's reaction to anything is. And that's why we call our grooming notes our navigation guide. So, because you're pretty much navigating each cat. And so you have a grooming chart that's going to navigate as that cat client comes in. I know on the notes what works, what doesn't work as far as techniques and how to get that cat through grooming at low stress levels. I know that if I put that cat in the Caddyshack bag, for whatever reason it could upset that cat, and I finish the drying on the table instead. Or I have just the opposite. I have cats who become extremely, who might be irritable and aggressive, who the minute you put them in the Caddyshack bag, they go to nothing, neutralized, because of the sound that it makes. So every cat's different. And then you bypass having to have that cat client pre-treat the cat with gabapentin, because just the sound of that machine alone is neutralizing any aggression that that cat had. So as that cat arrives, they stay in their carrier, they go in the Caddyshack back, you turn the engine on, they listen to that for about 10 minutes, and then I get started on the cat right there in the Caddyshack back, because it's almost like a makeshift grooming station as well. So anyway, do you understand why this is called a float rinse? You see the way the coat is floating to the top? We're getting all of what's in her coat out. So Pink Paw Pal has a neutralizing formula that you can put in this water to neutralize the whole coat, make it shiny, get a little fresh scent. I would assume it's light, just like all of their other products. So we'll have to try that for this little lady the next time she's in. Right now she's going to get her vinegar float rinse. And that just neutralizes the shampoo. Make sure she's getting everything rinsed out down to the skin. And that vinegar does create a little bit of a sheen on that coat. So, and no, you know your cat is not going to smell like vinegar afterwards. So you're just a baby. Now, my advice for anyone wanting to make their own basin at home is to make 2 drain holes. One is just simply not enough. And half the time the cat's tail or paw is going to be plugging it up anyway. But it would be ideal to just pull both drains and get that drain water out a little bit faster. Alright, let's see if we'll get her to slowly walk out. Just a baby. Alright, girl. And you need it. Alright, she's all finished. We're just going to give her a double towel wrap. I do utilize the towel to try to get the cat at least 50% dry. That's going to reduce that dry time. So start with one towel, wrap. Give it about a minute. It's only going to take about a minute to get this towel to absorb most of that water on the coat. And then, while I'm drying the head, I'm waiting for that minute to pass, and then I'm going to take her out of this towel and rewrap her in a fresh dry towel. That might be better. There. And we're back. My UBTV video is going to be staring at a stainless steel wall the whole time. Alright, so that's done. Take her out of that. And put a nice dry towel around. 2 towels. Gotcha. Up we go. She's like, it's just a baby. It's just a baby. Alright, there. Now, that towel, 5 minutes. I'm going to show you what you can be doing for those 5 minutes. Go right this way. Right this way. There we go. And there we go. There. Alright, so while you're waiting for that 5 minutes, you could do a couple of things. One is you could be drying your cat's head with a low and slow drying stand dryer. You could be cleaning the ears out. This is where we go in and do a deeper dive. Or we go in and we do an ear flush. So if you go to the side, open that ear up slightly. Doing an ear flush on a cat, probably better off doing it while the cat is still in the tub. But that's what we use, the Tris ear flush. Drop, 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 massage. Done. Let her shake it out. And that's after the bath. And other side. Wow, just a baby. What are you doing? Ear flush. Wow. You want to sit, it's a little triggering for some cats. You can skip that step if it's too triggering. I have some pre-moistened Q-tips, and that just helps to do a deeper dive down in the inner parts of the ear of the cat. Not down the canal, but just all those nooks and crevices that hold all that debris. There we go. Alright, so from here, what could you do? Well, now is a really, really good time to pull out your do-it-yourself stand dryer. This is something I teach cat moms and dads all the time. It's a really great way on the cheap to get a stand dryer for yourself for $12. This is how much the electric contractor clamp light costs you at Home Depot. It does not come with a bulb, you just invert it, pull out the cord, save the cord so you can get those really cool lights as well. And those lights will plug right into the cord that this comes with. So, and then you just take whatever hairdryer you have, put it on low. You should not see any reaction coming from her. And there you go. Alright, so that's how you could dry the face of your cat. I usually like to keep the head of the cat purposely damp because I'm going to need it to blow out the rest of their coat with the happy hoodie on. So I really don't want to put this back on a cat's head that's already been floofed. So I can purposely keep it damp, keep this on it, and then blow that out at the very end, just like a poodle. So for any dog groomers watching, if you don't know how to groom cats, pretend it's a poodle. It's going to help. It's going to help you with the drying techniques, with what shampoos are to be used, clarifying, hypo, things like that. Yeah. The maintenance as well. So if you don't maintain a poodle, you know what happens. Same applies for cats. So pretending cats are poodles is going to help you get one step closer to understanding how to groom cats. Alright, so a couple of different ways that we have dried Lily in the past. I know how one way she's dried at home, but for those of you who are super sensitive, boom, that's gonna help a lot of cat owners whose cats just can't handle any kind of sound, velocity, nothing, right? They can't even handle that little baby do-it-yourself stand dryer. So what do? Well, you get them comfortable. It's a little crate bed. I get these for $12 from Pet Edge. Put a little towel on it. That space heater is going to get this cat at about 90% dry in about 15 minutes. So do not underestimate this. This thing is amazing. It doesn't give you a whole lot of fluff power. So what you could do is maximize the time that that cat spends under any kind of stress from the dryer by just doing low and slow drying techniques, either this one or the do-it-yourself stand dryer. Another way is putting your cat in an open crate cage with this bed in it, which is something we have shown with this little girl. The smaller the cage, the better. Not the cat's carrier, but a cage, an open cage, open ventilation. And then you put the cat in there, close the door, put your stand dryer back on low, about 2 feet away, and put that on for about 15-20 minutes. That's going to get your cat to low and slow drying stress levels. And it's also, that dryer that I just showed you is also going to transition your cat into being able to handle a variable speed velocity dryer. If you go just from this to the Shalandi variable speed velocity dryer, that's may not work for a lot of cats. So there is a step in between, and that would be allowing your cat to listen to and adjust to the sound of this dryer. And that's what it sounds like, right? So after about 15 minutes of listening to that sound and allowing your cat to process that that's not a threat, they're comfortable with it. After about 15-20 minutes, once your cat is about 85% dry, you can layer in the sound of the Shalandi dryer on top of that sound, if you do it right. So I would suggest turning it on, allowing it to start to get warm. Don't start blowing cold air on your cat. Keep everything warm. Take the nozzle off for now, and then just start gently blowing your cat with this part of the Shalandi dryer, and layer the sound and feeling of this on top of this after about 15 minutes, and then just turn that off. And then we've now just transitioned over. So if you try to do this variable speed dryer from this position with just a soft dryer with no sound to this, you could really startle your cat. Even with the happy hoodie on, they can't. So this is a very good go-between. Give it about 15 minutes. They'll learn the sound. They'll learn the sensation of it. They will process it, that it's not a threat. And you should be, if you do it carefully enough, you should be able to transition over, right? So then turn this on, then turn that off, and now you've switched over. And at that point, you'll be able to, because your cat is almost 90% dry, you will only have to do a final fluff out, which could take you maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. So, yeah. See how she's starting to fluff? And we haven't even put any kind of a dryer on her yet. So, pretty girl. So the whole idea is just to keep her comfortable. So that's probably what I'm going to do, is just exactly what I just told you I was going to do. So I'm going to let her listen to the sound of this, and then we'll transition over that sound with the velocity dryer and then take this away. And these are just all easy home remedies. That's not how I dry cats here at my salon. I have a Caddyshack vac, but not everyone has a Caddyshack vac. So go make a phone call, so what I'm going to do is just get her in there. She does have a top loader carrier, so that means most of all of that heat is just going to rise and not get too trapped. So I'll be right back. takes almost as long to dry the cat as it does to wash them, so just keep that in mind. Maybe not at a cat grooming salon where they have a caddy shack back and a dehumidifier going. Pretty girl. 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 Why are you so cool? Alright, so she's pretty fluffed out. That doesn't mean she's dry. She's still got dampness in her coat. So we're just going to keep that running. That kind of pulls all that dampness out. And then we leave that on while we're doing the finishing touches. And we're going to start with a little bit of a face trim. Just going to do her eyes first. Yeah. Just comb all of that forward. Just do that. You can cover up half of that face if you're worried about safety. Turn her around, fluff up that dome a little bit. Alright, pretty girl, you're almost done. And we're going to just start on her finishing touches. She's getting perfect paws, pretty panties, and a belly shag. So you don't want to square the head, you want to round it. And you can use a thinning shears, or you could just use the scissors, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then part of the face trim is to do the ear tufts. So I bring my thumb all the way up to the end of the leather, and that protects that leather from getting cut by accident. That comes off like that. And take the little pink paw pow powder. She's already had her eyes cleaned. So before you powder, you just want to make sure that all that wetness is done or absorbed. Sometimes you're going to have a little bit of a wet spot right in between the eyes like that. So if you use a paper towel, that will help to lift that dampness out. Try this way. There. Pretty girl. Just get a fresh applicator. She's such a princess. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. There. That's done. Perfect. I guess I'll start with the perfect paws. Keep her on her bed. Just roll her on her side. Oh, this way. That's it. And I'm going to use the one is all clipper. Bring it all the way to 0.8. And skim over the paws. Actually, I want to put this on so I don't accidentally cut her whiskers off. I'm going to be using, because cats get curious and they'll bring their head over to kind of figure out what are you doing. So I'm just skimming over. I'm not digging into anything. A lot of times groomers will dig into the pad and scoop it out, but I don't think that's anything that's done with cat grooming. I mean, the only time I've ever done that is when there was heavy cement like patty litter stuck in the pads and it was still there even after the bath. So, and just round that off with a little thinning shear. Sally's does sell that exact thinning shear, but you can get really small ones. Pink Paw Pal sells them. Expensive. They sell the really small face one because they use that for sculpting their cats' faces. But you can also utilize it for getting a really nice soft paw. I'm using the little boot brush. This one is from Groomers Mart for $5. It's called the Soft Slicker, and it's the same one that Pet Edge sells, only it's a different design, and they're both $5. Alright, front's are done. Let's go on to the back. And puff it out. There. And last paw. This way, little lady. We're just skimming over it. There. And puff it out. And while she's in that position, I'm going to check her sanitary. I'm going to bring my one is all clipper back to the 10 blade, which is that dot right next to the 2.0. She seems fine down there. I'm going to puff out her little feet. The only time I use a slicker is on just the legs of the cat. I don't use it anywhere else for the long hair cat. I'll do that later. comb her out. Wow, wow, wow. She said, "Excuse me." But I'd like my tea and biscuits now. Thank you. Alright, the pink paw paw is very, very delicate, very lightweight. I'm going to switch to something heavier. Normally I would be pulling out any kind of knot or tangle under the dryer in the Caddyshack bag. I just don't want to pull any pins out of place. This very lightweight pink paw paw finishing comb. So I don't want to bend those out of place, so I go to switch to my heavier one. This one is by Chris Christensen. They're both name brand combs, but so you pay a price in the grooming industry for getting those name brand tools. You can drop the price down significantly, going from 50 and 60 to something more like 20. All right, she's really hunkered down in there, so we're gonna take the bed away now. She's kind of hunkering down in her bed, and we just want to try to pull out what's happening right down in there. Now, if you have any mess after the bath, after you unwrap the towel, before you blow your cat out, you could spray your cat down with a fine mist of that Hydra, which is going to do absolute miracles if you have a variable speed dryer. Let's get this one instead. This is something I normally do in the Caddyshack bag while the cat is still under the dryer. It's not an uncomfortable process. Without the Caddyshack bag, any kind of dematting or untangling can be a little uncomfortable depending on the temperament of your cat. Alright, done. Let's go back to that final comb out. Good girl. Sorry, little girl. Yeah, you know, not like that. So if you have two people at the house, if you have someone pointing that Salon dryer on that spot that you're trying to demat, you might stand a better chance at getting that out. And just fluff out those back boots. And right in there. Let's try and get her on her side. Sorry, little girl. I didn't realize she had these in her coat. That's what happens sometimes when you're washing a cat. The way to avoid that is by doing the floating bath. There is a cat groomer here on TikTok who demonstrates the art of the bath with live cat groomings all the time. And they're cat grooming cattery in Jakarta, Indonesia. And if you follow along with them, that's the only technique they use, is a floating bath when they wash their cats. and that will help prevent any tangling from taking place in your cat's coat when you're washing them. It can tend to start to mat up and tangle. So, and if you're not careful, you're going to end up making your cat's coat 10 times worse than when you started, especially if you can't dry them afterwards fully. Alright, so let's start on her Pretty Panties is the name of the service request. It's basically a poop trail for cats. So, Pretty Panty is using some sculpting tools. You do not need to use scissors, especially if you don't have any hand scissor techniques. You're better off just working with what you're comfortable with. So how would you do that? Well, if you do that, that'll work if your cat doesn't move. That's called skimming. And what you do is you just take your clipper on your one is all the way to the other end, 0.8, and then you're able to bypass using any kind of scissoring, and you just go like that. And it'll work as long as your cat doesn't move suddenly. Otherwise, you've got a whoops on your hand with a big chunk of fur missing on your cat. I'm just doing a little bit of a shaping, because once you start cutting into the natural coat of your cat, you start to mess with its natural fall. So using a thinning shear is a lot like using a blender or a eraser, and it's just going to help bring it back to a more natural state versus just using any kind of scissor, which is more of a blunt cut. Alright, and then the last step would be the belly shag. So how do you do a shag? You take one of the clip-on combs that the one is all comes with, and you snap it in place. Bring your blade all the way to 0.8. That doesn't. Let's do a no. That's a number 9. So let's use that. Alright, and then how are you going to do the belly? Well, very carefully. Now you could turn your cat upside down. You could get your cat on your lap. You could have someone hold your cat up. And what this does is it cuts the length of the coat, but not all the way a shave, you know? Some people just don't want that shave on any part of their cat's body. Let me see. Stretch her out just a little bit. Alright, up we go. Let me see. See if she'll let me. She's like, no, I'm not, I don't like it that way. Okay, we gotcha. Alright, final floof. Oh my god, little girl. Sorry, little girl. She's like, don't do it like that. So when a cat hisses, that's their way of saying no. When you're drying your cat, if you have had to use a happy hoodie and you have crimped some of that puff on your cat's head down, you can correct it That's one of the magics of what the Pink Paw Paw grooming spray does. It will help to restore crimping or any kind of area around your cat's ruff back to almost perfect status again. So this is a little known beauty secret for right before a cat show. Just gonna fluff that up. And then the directions are to do a stretch comb out. So you want to pull and stretch, and that restores that crimp. So they do have little grooming videos throughout their social media accounts, like on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You're going to see lots of little grooming videos to help you know how to use their products. And here's just a sampling of some of the products that they carry. These are all just the small little bottles. It's expensive to get those small bottles. I just bought it for this display purposes. You're better off just getting that size, because that price for this small little bottle is half of what you would spend for one of these. So you're gonna get, what, 5 times more if you just go with the bigger bottle. It's 17 ounces, and all of their products can be diluted up to 16 times. You don't use it straight. So anyway, this little fluff is just about where I'm about to call her mom. And we're just going to go back in and look at those eyes. So for those of you who've never ever done a face trim on your cat before, well, one thing you need to know is the scissors that is being used has a bottle nose tip on it for protection. Pink Paw Paw has their own little scissors for that. It's $100. And I'm like, no thanks. And I'm gonna stick with this one. This is by Aussie Dog. So, and you can literally get these little safety scissors for nothing. It's not a whole lot of money. There. Just got a little bit of dampness right where cats normally do. So I'm gonna just face her that way so we can get that dry, and we'll call the owner. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me for the class. I'm gonna turn off the UB2 2B1, and then we'll post that. Okay, I'll show you one.